All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're talking about stats models, which is, and I'm not exaggerating, kind of like a statistical Swiss Army knife for Python. We're going to show you exactly why it's such a go-to tool for any serious data analyst. You know that feeling, right? You're staring at a brand new library, a mountain of data, and you're just thinking, where do I even begin to get real solid insights? It can feel a little overwhelming, kind of like being handed a massive, disorganized toolbox with no instructions. Trust me, you're not alone. But that's exactly where Statsmodels comes in and just shines. See, it was actually designed by statisticians, so it's built for proper, rigorous analysis. The best part? It's not just a random list of functions. It's a structured workflow that literally guides you through the entire process. Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to peek inside this toolkit. Then we'll walk through the essentials, getting your data ready, picking the right model for the job, running the whole analysis with one simple command, and finally, the really fun part, turning all those numbers into something that actually makes sense. So let's start by looking inside the box. Once you get the philosophy behind stats models, using all its power becomes so much easier. And here's the absolute key idea to remember. Stats models isn't just a bunch of functions you call, it's a logical process. It's built to mirror how a real researcher would tackle a problem. You prep the data, you build a model, and then you figure out what the results mean. It's all about finding that story hidden deep inside your data. All right, let's get our hands dirty. Every single great analysis starts with clean, well-structured data. And luckily for us, Statsmodels has the tools to help us get there. So take a look at this function, add constant. Now, it might look like a tiny little detail, but for most regression models, it is absolutely crucial. See, without it, your model's basically forced to assume that the relationship you're measuring starts at 0, which, let's be honest, almost never happens in the real world. This simple function gives your model the flexibility it needs to find the true relationship. But what happens when your data isn't just numbers? Things like product categories or survey answers. Well, that's where the categorical function is a total lifesaver. It cleverly converts all those text-based variables into a numerical format that the models can actually work with. It just solves a super common data prep headache. So our data is prepped and ready to go. Now we get to the real heart of the analysis, choosing the model. And this is where that Swiss Army knife idea really comes alive. Statsmodels has a specialized tool for pretty much any question you can think to ask. I mean, just look at the sheer variety here. You've got your classic linear models, you've got discrete models for when you're modeling choices, time series models for data that changes over time, and even more advanced stuff like mixed models. The point is, whatever your data looks like, Statsmodels has you covered. And this slide just nails the point home perfectly. You wouldn't use a screwdriver to hammer a nail, right? Same thing here. If you're predicting something like a house price, a continuous number, you'd grab a tool like GLS. But if you're trying to predict a simple yes or no, like whether a customer will click an ad, then a logit model is what you need. Statsmodels makes picking the right tool for the job super straightforward. Okay, you've prepped your data, you've chosen your model. Now for the magic. This is that moment where all the heavy-duty math happens behind the scenes, where the patterns get uncovered, and where your data finally becomes an actual statistical model. And the crazy thing is, it all comes down to this one single beautiful command. .fit. This is the engine. This is what drives the whole Statsmodels library. And this is what makes Statsmodels so incredibly powerful and easy to use. I mean, whether you're running a simple linear model or something way more complex, the command to actually do the analysis is always the same, .fit. That consistency is a huge time saver. You learn it once, and you can apply it everywhere. So, fitting the model is a huge milestone, for sure, but it's not the end of the road. Now comes the most important part of all, figuring out what your model is actually trying to tell you. And you guessed it, Statsmodels has a whole bunch of tools to help you do just that. See, after you call .fit, you get this special results object back. And that object is basically your key to unlocking all the insights. You can instantly get a full summary of what happened, use the model to predict new things, and run specific tests to double-check your ideas. So, what does that look like? Well, the summary method is your new best friend. It gives you a beautiful breakdown of everything. Predict does exactly what it says on the tin. It lets you make forecasts. And with functions like t-test and walled testing, you can really dig in and validate your findings. You can even visualize your results with built-in plotting functions. It's all there. So let's bring it all home. What Statsmodels gives you is a complete end-to-end workflow for doing real statistics. From prepping your data all the way to building and interpreting your models, it's just this powerful, consistent, and frankly comprehensive toolkit that's going to make your life as a data analyst a whole lot easier. The toolkit's open, the map is clear, and all that power is right at your fingertips. The only thing left to do is go use it. So what questions are you going to ask? What stories are just waiting to be discovered in your dataset? That's the journey Statsmodels empowers you to begin.